had been born as a Hiranyaksha, a vile son of Diti. We all know, okay, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu are the sons of Diti and Kashyapa Muni, correct? They issued from every direction strange expressions uttered by those who were witnessing from airplanes. They had no knowledge of the Lord's reality, and they cried, "May victory attend you. Pray, dispatch him, play no more with him." So they were more worried about, like, okay, will Lord be defeated by Hiranyaksha? Because the demigods often see the power of demons, correct? Many a times they've been attacked by the demons. Okay, so they were fearful of whether like a lord will be defeated by Hiranyaksha. So they wanted a lord to express like his fullest of the power, and they want to finish like, okay, Hiranyaksha sooner. Okay, that is the reason like they were eagerly seeing the fight of Hiranyaksha and Lord Varaha. When the demon saw the personality of Godhead, who had eyes like lotus petals, standing in position before him, armed with his Sudarshana chakra, discus, his senses were overpowered by indignation. He began to hiss like a serpent, and he bit his lip in great resentment. So, first, the mace was like a thrown by Hiranyaksha to Lord, and Lord, by this Sudarshan chakra, like, okay, um, uh, breaking like that mace, and immediately like, okay, the Hiranyaksha is getting more power, and he's hissing like a serpent. Okay, how the serpent hiss, like the same way he bit his lip. Okay, in a great resentment, he showed his anger like in front of the Lord. The demon, who had fearful tusks, started at the personality of Godhead as though to burn him. Springing into the earth, he aimed his mace at the Lord, exclaiming at the same time, "You are slain." So he's again expressing his whole of the anger towards Lord. O saintly Vidura, while his enemy looked on, the Lord in his boar form, the enjoyer of all sacrificial offerings, playfully knocked down the mace with his left foot, okay? Even as it came upon him with the force of the tempest, okay? So here the Lord in his boar form, and we all know like a Varaha in his boar form, the enjoyer of all sacrificial offerings, playfully knocked down the mace with his left foot. Okay, just by his left foot, like, okay, he is whatever the mace is coming from Hiranyaksha, he just playfully knocked down. Like, okay, he didn't use any power. So that is the power of the Lord. Okay, even it came from very, it came with the fullest of the power, but still, Lord is like a effortlessly knocking down that mace with his left foot. Then the Lord then said, "Take up your weapon and try again, eager as you are to conquer me." Challenged in these words, the demon aimed his mace at the Lord and once more loudly roared. Okay, so Lord is giving the chance now for the Hiranyaksha. Okay, take up your weapon again, because uh, as a fighting principle, you should not kill the opponent like, okay, without the weapon in his hand, correct? Like, okay, then you will not be prized like for your chivalrous action. So here he is just saying, okay, take up your weapon again, and is as you are trying to conquer me, the similar way, like, okay, do it. So at the time, the demon Hiranyaksha is like looking at the Lord and loudly roaring again. When the Lord saw the mace flying towards him, again, like, okay, he's throwing the mace, he stood firmly where he was and caught it with the same ease as Garuda, the king of birds, would seize a serpent. Okay, how the Garuda seizes the serpent, the similar way, like a Lord catch hold of the mace coming from Hiranyaksha. Then we might have seen like a many at movies, the fighting between the hero and the villain, correct? So in Shrimad Bhagavatam, everything is there. Like, okay, you can have the uh, fighting, and you have the love affection, you have the sympathy, you have everything, like, okay, cheating, everything being explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, correct? So all these cinematic scenes like, okay, been inspired from Shrimad Bhagavatam. That we have to be understood. His valor thus frustrated, the great demon felt humiliated and was put out of countenance. He was reluctant to take back the mace when it was offered by the personality of Godhead. So his mace was like on the floor. Uh, Lord is saying like, hey, take the mass, but the Hiranyaksha was like, okay, not interested in taking those mace. Okay, so till then this was supposed to be covered. Then from 13th sloka onwards, let me quickly go over. Anyone wants to recite the 13th sloka?
Yes, Prabhu, there are hands raised. Vasudha Mataji?
Yeah,
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah.
जग्राहात्रिशिखं शूलं ज्वलज्वलनलोलुपं यज्ञायादृतरूपाय विप्रायाभिचरन् यथा. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Mata.
Yeah.
Hare
Next,
Krishna
Mataji, can you?
Shilpa Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Mataji. He
Right.
now took a trident which was as rapacious as a flaming fire and hurled it against the Lord, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, even as one could use penance for a malevolent purpose against a holy Brahman. Hare Krishna.
Earlier he was using the mace. Now he taken the trident like to fight with the Lord. Okay, so that is what been explained over here. So next, Sudha Mataji, next sloka.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम
Hare Krishna Mataji.
तदोजसा दैत्यमहावतार्पितं चकासदन्तख सुदीर्णदीप्तिः चक्रेण चिच्छेदनिशातनेमिना हरिर्यतातारकस्य पतत्रमुज्झितं. थैंक यू प्रभु जी. हरे कृष्ण.
Next, Mataji, can you please, Saravanan Gandhi, can you please recite the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hurdled by the mighty demon with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. The personality of Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with his discs Sudarshana, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuda. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah. So here it has been explained like, okay, the flying trident, like, okay, coming, it is very brightly in the sky. The personality of Godhead, like a Krishna or in the Varaha form, however, tore it to pieces with his discus like a Sudarshana. We know how powerful the Sudarshana chakra was, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off the wing of Garuda. So that is what been mentioned here. So due to the time, let's move to the 15th sloka. Mataji, who else?
Anita Mataji.
Anita, yeah, Anita Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण. वृक्ने स्वशूले बहुदारिणा हरेः प्रत्येत्य विस्तीर्णं मुरो विभूतिमत् प्रवृत्तरोषस कठोरमुष्टिना नदन् प्रहृत्यान्तरध्यत्तासुरः. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Next, Sindhu Mataji, can you please
Hare
read the
Krishna. Pranam,
translation?
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The demon was enraged when his trident was cut to pieces by the discus of the personality of Godhead. He therefore advanced towards the Lord and, roaring aloud, struck his hard fist against the Lord's broad chest, which bore the mark of Srivatsa. Then he went out of sight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So first,
Prabhupada.
yeah, Manji, yeah. The demon Hiranyaksha was using his mace as a weapon. Then the mace was like a thrown by Lord with his left foot. Okay. Then now the trident was like a cut by the Sudarshana chakra. He was like a furious. Now his anger like he went to another level, and he started with his hard fist. Okay, against the Lord's broad chest. So he started to use like his hand as a weapon, and he just going to uh, attack Varaha in his chest. Okay, which was born like, okay, the mark of Srivatsa. Okay, so then he went out of sight. So that is what we are going to see in the next loka. Who is Krishna Murthy Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna
Send
Prabhu.
out
Yeah,
pranams.
Dandat Pranam.
Tene tam ahata Kristor Bhagavan Adi Shukaraha Nakampata Manakwapi Sraja Hata Iva Dvapahe. Hare Krishna
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So here Adi Sukharaha, like okay, it is mean it explains us like the first boar. The Adi Sukharaha means like the first boar, which is none other than Varahamurti. So next, who can read? Divya Desai Mataji can read the translation.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hit in this manner by the demon, O Vidura, the Lord who has appeared as the first boar, did not feel the least quaking in any part of his body any more than an elephant would when struck with a wreath of flowers. Hare Krishna
Yeah.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So how beautifully it is explained. See, uh, the Varaha who appeared as a first boar did not feel the least quaking in any part of his body when the powerful demon like hit his with his fist. He is not feeling like any quake in this body. He it is as good as like okay, the elephant would when any more than the elephant would when stuck with a wrath of flowers. Like okay, someone throwing the flowers at a very angry mode, like towards the elephant. How 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 easy like it would be for an elephant. The similar way when Hiranyaksha was attacking attacking Lord Varaha with his fist. Okay, it was as soft as like okay, the flower coming and touching the elephant. The last sloka for today. I request Janaki Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah.
अथोरुद्धार्ष जन्मायां योगमायेश्वर हरो यां विलोक्य प्रजास्त्रस्ता त्रस्ता मेनिरे शोपस्यम शोपस्यमम. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Nandini Mataji, can you please recite the translation, read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translation. The demon, however, employed many conjuring tricks against the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of Yoga Maya. At the right of this, the people were filled with alarm and thought that the dissolution of the universe was near. Hare Krishna.
So, yeah, we'll read this purport by His Divine Graces, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The fighting enjoyment of the Supreme Lord with his devotee, who had been converted into a demon, appeared severe enough to bring about the dissolution of the universe. This is the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the wavering of his little finger appears to be great and a very dangerous moment in the eyes of the inhabitants of the universe. So, we all know like but the demon is having like a lot of tricks. But he is using mace, then trident, then his hand, but everylessly been evaded like by Lord very easily because he is the Lord of Yoga Maya, correct? At the first sight of this, the people were filled with alarm because uh, when the Lord is not putting the enough of power, okay, uh, the all the uh, seers, like okay, the demigods, everyone seeing that okay, the demon is like showing his anger and with lot of power, but the Lord is like not exhibiting any power because he don't need to exhibit. He is effortlessly like evading all the tricks of the demon. So we will see like how gigantic the Lord Varaga form is. So the to the surrounding people, they were thinking, okay, oh, Lord is going to be defeated because he is not able to control. When you see like okay, the initial movements, the hero will get like a lot of hits from the villain. then later the hero will act with like a full power, correct? In the cinematic movies, like a all these like been copied from Shrimad Bhagavatam only in this particular scenario, as if like okay, you are just seeing the visuals. We are in the place like where Hiranyaksha is fighting with Lord Varaha, and you imagine okay, when the demon is like putting full power, and Lord is like effortlessly ignoring or evading that. Uh, to others, like whatever say, oh, Lord is going to be defeated, but in reality it is not the case, correct? He will exhibit in the upcoming slokas where like okay, he just with his fist and like okay, he is uh, he, just with his ears like he's going to touch, and immediately like okay, uh, the Hiranyaksha is going to die, correct? That much power only Lord has to exhibit like to kill the demon, correct? Even this also not required, but Lord wanted like to fulfill the desire of a devotee. So that we will see in the presentation, like okay, Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnanaanjanakalasanakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Karoti Vachalam Pangam Degram Kripatamaham Deshigurum Diradanam Paramanandamam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So once again, I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas. So we will see in bit like okay, the glories of Varaga and Narasimha Avatar. Then we will see like we all know today is the appearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, who is the spiritual master of our divine grace, AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So one a bit of like a pastime, how he is explaining the Guru Tattva. Okay, what is the meaning of guru, like how he is effortlessly like explaining that we will see. Then we'll see like a key takeaways. So we are going to see Lord Varaha as well as like a Lord Narsimha. We all know. Let me just project the screen. Are you able to see the screen, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah. So we all know Srimad Bhagavatam is Lord Krishna's body, like a various his body parts, like a representing the chapters of or cantos of like a Srimad Bhagavatam. So he's the Amala Puran, okay, where Lord 1 and 2 is describing the lotus feet, and 3 and 4 like a describing thighs. 5 is navel, like okay, 6 is chest, and 7 is like a arms, and 7 and 8 is like a arms, and 9 is throat, and 10 is like a lotus face. 11 is a forehead, and like the 12 is like a head. So from the down to up top, it is explaining. So Lord Varaha's pastime and Hiranyaksha's pastime been explained in the third canto. Okay, third canto, which is explaining about like a thrice. It is talking about Sarga and Visarga, creation by the Lord, subsequent creation by Brahma, Manu's pastimes of Lord Varaha. Okay, then the seventh canto is explaining the which is arms, like okay, explaining the Uti, which is the discrimination of inauspicious and auspicious thing. Okay, the inauspicious inclination is called Uti, and auspicious inclination also like a buddhi, which has been explained in the seventh canto. There is where like a Prahlad Charitra plus the Narsimha avatar comes. Okay, so it is a mix of bhati, like a who is describing the inauspicious uti, and who is like okay, explaining the auspicious uti. Okay, that is what explained in the seventh canto. So third and the seventh canto, we are going to see the slokas, some of the slokas from third and seventh canto. So before that, like okay, Lord taken various avatar, correct? Lord Krishna appears like a and to protect the devotees and to annihilate the demons, like to establish the dharma. He takes so many avatars, like a so that is what prayers by Kunti, Queen Kunti Maharani, like a, is. He's saying like okay, Atyanta Vidambanam. It is bewildering, correct? Janma karmasha vishmatman ajasya karturatmanah tiryan nirisheshu yadashu tad atyanta vidambanam. So here it has been explained, the boar avatar also been explained. You are taking that tiryak, like okay, is an animal form. You are taking a human being. You are taking like in the sages. You are taking in the yadashu, like okay, in the water. It is bewildering, like of course it is bewildering, oh source of the universe, that you work though you are inactive, and you that you take birth enough, that though you are the vital force and unborn. He is unborn, but he takes the birth, correct? That is bewildering. You yourself descend amongst the animals, like, okay, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering, correct? Like, okay, so this shows the Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, like, okay, he's unborn, but he's taking a birth, like, okay, as he's appearing as, like, okay, the boar or Narsinga Dev, or like, okay, n number of pastime, n number of, like, okay, the uh, birth, like, okay, he's taking. So this we will recollect. Okay, we also has to be like, okay, Atyanta Vidamana, it has to be bewilder us, because Lord Krishna, we cannot, we don't have the understanding, or we don't have the capacity to understand Lord's features and his power, his qualities, correct? So it is not possible for us to understand, because we have very limited level of understanding. But Lord is like a beyond our capacity to understand, beyond our capability to understand him. Okay, so that has to be, that Lord is waiting for our arrival in Goloka. That Lord is like a ready to take anything for a bhakta, correct? Like, okay, sadhavor hridayam madhyam, sadhu nam hridayam agam, like, okay, so he's saying, like, I am living in my devotee's heart, like a devotee living in my heart. So that is the power of devotee, like, okay, in front of the Lord, correct? So devotee only can control Krishna. So let us go back, like, okay, what been the whole details about it. Like, so four Kumaras cursing Jaya Vijaya. Like, okay, we all know four Kumaras, initially they were like, okay, the impersonal form. They were praying to Lord, and they wanted to visit Lord Vishnu. Like, okay, so they are entering the doors of, like, okay, the Vaikunta, while they were about to cross the last door. So they've been like stopped by Jaya Vijaya. And this got like, okay, the four Kumaras like got furious about this particular act, and immediately, like, okay, they were about to curse. They are cursing Jaya and Vijaya. Okay, you are going to take the birth in the material world. Okay, so immediately Lord is coming, and he's just like, okay, intervening. So couple of things, like, we have to understand very importantly, why this particular situation been created by Lord. Okay, first of all, if any issues happening for a devotee, here the situation is four Kumaras also devotees of the Lord, Jai Vijay also devotees of the Lord. When at sometimes, okay, many a times, Lord saves the devotees, like, from the demon or demoniac nature, correct? You take Jagai and Madai. They were a dacoit person, and they were hitting Nityananda Prabhu. Like, so then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and rescue them, rescue Nityananda Prabhu, like, from the Jagai and Madai, and he is delivering them. Correct. So many at occasions, even Gajendra also, when he was like catched by the crocodile, then immediately, like, a Lord arrives, like, to save the devotee. And the same with, like, Ambrisha Maharaj also. Many at occasions, like, okay, we could see he's saving from a demon, correct? Like, okay, or demoniac nature, correct? But here, the four Kumaras also devotees of the Lord, and the Jay and Vijay also, like, a devotees of the Lord. Then why this particular situation is created, and why he didn't ignore the curse of the devotee, correct? In Vaikunta, what is the meaning of Vaikunta? It is like, okay, no anxiety. That is a Vaikunta, correct? We need to understand how is it possible for someone to curse the curse in Vaikunta, and that becomes like, okay, active also. That becomes like, okay, fulfilled also. So that is another aspect of it. Okay, we have to see. And the Lord came little late, okay, here, because he wanted the curse to be go through, and he wants, like, okay, the four Kumaras to curse Jay and Vijaya. After that only he is arriving. But in Ambarisha Maharaj, or like, okay, in Gajendra, or in many other occasions, Lord, when the devotee is in danger, correct, he immediately enters and he saves, like, okay, the devotee, correct. What is the reason for it? Like, let us try to understand. So we all know, like, okay, the Jay and Vijaya taken 4 times, like, okay, the birth in this particular material world, 3 or 4 times, like, okay, first is Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. The second time, the Kumbhakarna and Kamsa. So not Kamsa, like, Ravana. Then the third time, like, okay, it is Dandavatra and Sishupal. And the fourth time also, like they say, it is by Jagai and Madai. But in all the other 3 times, like they have been killed by Lord. But in the Jagai Madai past time, like they have been delivered by the Lord, correct? So that is another aspect. Like, okay, so let us see. Lord fulfilled the desire. Like, this is what the Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Then here Kumbhakarna and Ravana. Here Shishupal and Dandavaktra. Okay, so why Lord fulfilled how Lord fulfilled the desires of the devotee? So one particular occasion, Lord, because Jay and Vijaya were, like, okay, the doorkeeper of Vaikunta planet, like, okay, before entering into the planet, like they have to get their permission. So Lord Jay and Vijaya many at times, like they happen to see Lord many occasions, correct, while he goes in or like he goes out. So at the time, so then immediately Jay and Vijaya, like, okay, one particular time thinking, okay, Lord, they were seeing the gigantic body of the Lord, and they were seeing, like, a Lord is so powerful. Since they were the soldiers, like, they wanted to enjoy the virya rasa of Lord, like, okay, with the Lord. So they want to see, like, okay, how it would be if we were getting a chance to fight with the Lord, or how Lord will fight, like, okay. So they had that particular desire. So immediately, like, okay, Lord accepted the desire, like, and he's going to fulfill in the future life. Okay, so that is what when we have the desire, like in the devotional service, very important is, like, to have the desire, that tatra laulyam. You will see in this loka. Okay, this loka comes in Madhya Lila 8.70. Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavita Madhi Kriyatam Yati Kuto Api Labhyate Tatra Lavlyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukrutir Na Labhyate. Okay, the pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is intense greed to obtain it. Okay, that greed is very important. Okay, whether we are doing that or not, like, okay, let us leave aside. But first, we need to develop the greed to attain the devotion service. We need to, that tatra laulyam, that tatra there, that laulyam greed has to be for devotion service. Whether we are able to chant 16 rounds or 32 rounds, you just have the greed. Okay, Lord, I want to chant, like, a 16 quality rounds. I want to do, like, okay, without any disturbance, like, say, have that greed. One or the other day, Lord will fulfill it. Like, okay, that first we need to develop that greed, correct? Lord, I want to love you, like, okay, all the time. Please have that opportunity created for me. I want to do devotion service, like, to a lot of devotees, and, like, okay, I want to serve the Vaishnavas. I want to serve you without any hinge of, like, okay, material desires. Okay, so that manner, like, let us develop the greed. Fulfilling that greed is not responsibility. Okay, we have to develop that greed, and fulfilling that desire, fulfilling that greed is the Lord's responsibility. Okay, so let us develop that greed. Okay, that is very important. So this sloka, like, it has to go in our heart. Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavita Matiki Kriyatam Yati Kuto Api Labhyate Tatra Laulyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukrutir Na Labhyate. Okay, if it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. Okay, so we need to develop that greed today, now, at this moment. Okay, let us not delay any further. Okay, that is very important. So the Jay and Vijaya had that particular greed, okay, to enjoy the virya rasa with the Lord, to fight with the Lord. So that greed being fulfilled by the Lord in this particular situation. And one another occasion, like a Lakshmi Devi was rejected the entrance like a to Vaikunta. So at that time, like she was feeling okay and a little cursing to Jay and Vijay. Okay, how I am being separated by the Lord. The similar way, like you also need to be separated by Lord for some time. From this Vaikunta Loka, like for that reason, it has been fulfilled by the Lord also. Okay, then Lord fulfilled the curse of four Kumaras even in Vaikunta because he don't want like okay the devotees even curse or devotees like a desire to not to be fulfilled. Correct? Four Kumaras are like okay pure devotees of the Lord, and they got like a they changed from impersonal form to the personal form by just smelling the tulsi aroma of Lord in the Vaikunta, correct? Immediately, like a Lord wanted, even though they are cursed, like a Lord goes any extent to protect the devotee, correct? In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Lord says like a the sloka 15.15 no 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 not the Shuddhi no, no. I will go any extent like to protect. He declaredly bolds like to Arjuna, correct? My devotee never perishes. Shipram bhavadi dharmatma shashva shanti nigachadi kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktya pranashadi. He is asking Arjuna to recite to the whole world, correct? Because if Lord promises something for a devotee, like he can overcome that promise, correct? But if devotee promises, okay, Lord will never override that particular thing. That is the reason he says, okay, Shipram bhavadi dharmatma shashvam shantim nigachadi Kaunteya Pratijaniki Name Bhaktya Pranashadi. Name Bhaktya, my devotee never perishes. So that is the power of a devotee. Okay, so we all need to be very proud and we have to perform devotion service in a very great manner because, like, okay, Lord is declaredly bolding. Okay, boldly declaring that my devotee never perishes. Correct. So the similar way, like okay, Lord go any extent to fulfill that desire or desire of a devotee, even like okay, the devotee curses the other devotee. He knows like okay, Lord knows how to connect. That doesn't mean that okay, we will curse other devotee, Lord will fulfill. No, and we should not take it in that aspect. Okay, we have to take it in that aspect where Lord. Knows like how to connect each instances, correct? That is the whole thing. Then we already seen like a Lord shown the urgency in saving like a Gajendra Rambharisha Maharaj, but late in arriving in this scenario to fulfill both the devotees' desire. For Kumara's cursing, that devotee's desire also getting fulfilled. Jay and Vijaya want to enjoy the pastime with the Lord, like okay, in a fighting mode, that also getting fulfilled. Like okay, that is the reason he came a little late in arriving. So Hiranyaksha represents the obsessive of greed. Okay, he is the embodiment of like okay the greed because he wanted the Hiranya means like okay, the gold, correct? He explain he represents the obsessiveness of like a greed. Hiranyakashipu represents the obsessiveness of like a pride and false ego. So when if you want to excel in devotion service, we have to get away from this greed, pride, and false ego. So let's move to the next slide. This one we have seen like a Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavati. So the Tatra Laulyam, that greed, the intense greed has to be there. Like let us have that develop like right away. To excel in devotion service. So we have seen like let us see Lord Varagas like okay the whole thing. So before that, let's see like okay here. Um, Lord Varaha appears in like a two occurrence in the same kalpa of Lord Brahma. We all know, okay, here, if you want to see the life of Brahma, it is like a 311 billion years. Okay, that has been segregated as like a Divya Yuga and a Divya Yuga, Manvantara and Kalpa. So this is a very easy calculation, like a Kali Yuga existed for like a 432,000 years, like a Dwapara Yuga is 2 times of Kali. Treta Yuga is like okay 3 times of Kali, and Satya Yuga is 4 times of Kali. One Kali and one Dwapara and one Treta and one Satya Yuga, like okay, is called as one Divya Yuga. One Divya Yuga is like okay 4.32 million years. One day of Brahma is like 1,000 Divya Yugas, which is 4.32 billion years. One night of Brahma also like a 4.32 billion years. Okay, Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come only once in a full day, night period of Brahma, or once in 1000 Divya Yuga. Okay, so how fortunate we are, because Lord Krishna appeared 5,500 years ago. Just we are 5,500 after 5,500 years. We are in this existence, and Lord Mahaprabhu came 500 and odd years. So we are very very fortunate, because in the 4.32 billion years, not 4.32, there's 8.64 billion years. Okay, Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears only once. Okay, that uh, that was just a 5,500 years ago. So how fortunate we are, to appear in this particular kalpa, in this particular yuga, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna just appeared and left from this particular world. So 1 year of Brahma is 3.11 trillion years. 100 years of Brahma is 311 trillion years, 40 billion years. Okay, so in this the kalpa, manvantara, all those things are there. Okay, in this kalpa, the Varaha Murti appeared two times. One is like a Sweta Varaha. He appeared from the Brahma's nostril with a white. The Sweta means like a white complexion. So the reason it has been called as like a Sweta Varaha Kalpa. That Kalpa been called as Sweta Varaha Kalpa. That Manvantara is called as like a Swayambhu Manvantara. Okay, so that is the Sweta Varaha Kalpa. Then here, in this particular time, he appears as a white form, and he lifts the earth from the bottom of the Garbhodakashayi ocean, correct? Then in the other occasion, this time he didn't fight with Hiranyaksha. In the other kalpa, okay, sorry, in other manvantara, in the Sakshusha manvantara, from the water, he appeared, and he fight with he appeared in the Rakta Varaha, red Varaha fights with Hiranyaksha. Okay, so this is the two Varaha appearance. So let us see the gigantic form of a Varaha. So this been explained by Bilva Mangala Thakura in the Krishna Karnamratam. Okay, Yad Roma Rantra Paripurti Vidav Adaksha Varaha Janmani Bahuvar Amal Samudraha Tam Nama Nadam Aravinda Drisam Yachodaha Pani Dvayantara Jalahi Snapapyam Babuha. Although in his Varaha incarnation, many oceans could hardly even fill the Lord's hair follicles. Okay, so let us see the gigantic form of Varaha. You take one hair pore of Varaha. Okay, in that one hair pore of Varaha, you fill all the oceans in this particular world. All the oceans, you just fill it in the hair pore of Varaha, and still that is not filled. Okay, not filled. It hardly even filled the Lord's hair follicles. Okay, yes, you then one hair pore, even all the oceans could not able to fulfill the one hair pore of Varaha. Then you see the gigantic form of Varaha. It is beyond our imagination, beyond our conception. Okay, it is not possible for us to. We are thinking, okay, that Varaha is appearing as a very small deity form. It is with their magnitude of okay, the mercy, correct? That Varaha is appearing as a small deity form. You visit in Trivandrum, there is Varaha temple is there. Okay, in many other locations, so a couple of other places Varaha temple is there, where that Varaha, how gigantic he is. Okay, the ocean could not able to fulfill his one hair particle, okay, the hair follicles. Then you see okay, how gigantic he would be. And what bewildering Bilvamangala Thakura here is, Yashodamai bathed that same lotus idol Lord, correct? Because Lord Shri Krishna takes Lord of Avatar, correct? So that Lord Krishna who is taking Varaha Avatar, that Lord Krishna, Yashodama is bathing with just the water contained in her two joined palms, correct? This is bewildering, correct? Even Archimedes also get bewildered by this. How it is possible for a small Krishna, Lord Krishna, is taking the gigantic form of Varaha, and he's not able to fill in all the oceans are not getting filled in his hair pore, but the Krishna like okay being bathed by Yashodamai with the water like okay from in her two joined palms. So that is a magnitude of Lord's presence. Like okay, he is the smallest of the small, and he is the biggest of the big. Like okay, you can that explains the Achintya Beda Beda Tattva like okay, of the Lord. So and move to the next one. This we have seen already, like a Sweta Varaha and Rakta Varaha. He appeared in the Sweta Varaha Kalpa and he appeared in the Sakshuman Mantra. So this all we have seen. Uh, in the Varaha, like there is other places like where it has been explained that particular place where he picked up from his trust, like it is called, the place is called Soranakshetra. Okay, it is 100 kilometer northeast of Mathura in the Itak district, and was visited by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After killing the demon Hiranyakashipu, he rested in the Vishrama Ghat in Mathura and spoke the Varaha Purana. Like okay, Varaha Purana is one of the Purana to Mother Earth. Like he is speaking to Mother Earth. In Raman Reti also, it's Varaha gut is there. Okay, where Lord Krishna revealed his Varaha form to the gopis. Okay, so it has been mentioned in the Varahara. Like okay, the village is known as like a Varahara in Vrindavan. Once when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited his devotee Murari Gupta, he revealed his form as Lord Varaha in the Navadip also. Like okay, in the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastime also, like the Varaha incarnation been glorified and appeared. Okay, so till now we have seen like a Varaha's gigantic appearance. Like we know how powerful he was, like how great he was. That one sloka like by Vilvamangala Thakura, we know okay how gigantic form like he was in. Then let us leave Narshima Leela. Okay. See here in this particular photo, he is exhibiting the ferocious form to a demon, Hiranyakashipu. To Prahlad, he is exhibiting the Shanta Bhav. Like okay, from this pictures, like we can see the both the form. Then, as we discussed, like in the seventh canto, the Uti consciousness in the mind, the Prahlad Charitra is coming. Okay, seventh. So Subvachana or Icha, like a positive auspiciousness, like a being exhibited by Prahlada. It is very pleasing and serving Vaishnavas associate with them. So always like we need to associate with the Vaishnavas. Ashub Vasana or like a Icha being the negative auspiciousness being exhibited by Hiranyakashipu, which is displeasing like a Vaishnavas. Okay, so one more greatness of like the seventh canto and Prahlad Maharaj. So he's one of the Mahajan, and the gopis who are very intimate, like okay, associates of the Lord Krishna, they've been their pastimes been explained in the 10th canto, where only like a 5 chapters it has been explained in the Gopis Ras Leela. But the 7th canto for Prahlad, 10 chapters, like okay, longest for any pastime or any particular devotee, it is for Prahlad. Correct. Even his Gurudev Narada also like explained for a very limited chapter only, but for a devotee, Lord explains like and gives more chance like more chapters like for Prahlad, because it is around 10 chapters like in Shrimad Bhagavatam. It is about the Prahlad Charitra. So Prahlad is a 5-year-old boy pushed to the limits, like okay, because from the womb of Kayatu, like okay, who's the wife of Hiranyakashipu, he got the mercy and he got the instruction by Narad Muni, okay, about the devotion service. So from the very early age itself, okay, he started practicing devotion service. Where, but in his father, like he wanted him to exhibit the demoniac qualities, but which has not been exhibited by Prahlad Maharaj. So he faced so many difficulties. Many at occasions, devotees will comment because His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj explained very nicely. So many devotees, like if anyone complains, okay, I am going through very much difficulty. Why Lord is testing me? Like, okay, why I am only getting a lot of problem. Like, okay, please, at that particular moment, remember Prahlad Charitra. Okay, Prahlad, who was not getting any support from even his parents at the very early age, like he gone through a lot of difficulty. He been pushed from the mountain. He had been put into the room of like a full of snakes, and he has been given a poison. And many, you name, like, okay, all those difficulties Prahlad faced, but he didn't uh, he didn't utter like, okay, one particular word against the Lord. Why you are putting me into this difficult situation? He always, like, he had a trust in the Lord, and he always had like, okay, the believe in Lord, like, Lord will save me, correct? uh, so this Supicha, like, okay, Prahlad achieved via Narada Muni. So association with the devotees, like, it will help us to give the Subicha. Okay, life lesson for us, like after hearing all these things, like not seeing the great acharyas, we have to actively hearing, correct? Like all these things. The While he was in the womb, he didn't see his Gurudev, correct? But still, he is able to listen. He's the Tashunu, correct? In the seventh chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, like, while starting the devotional Bhakti Yoga, like, okay, immediately he says Tashunu, correct? The similar way, active hearing is like a very important. How Hiranyakashipu achieved Ashubha Icha, like, okay, it was because he wanted to have like a full of um, the pride and false ego, like I am the bigger, okay, that way. Okay, so this particular thing been explained while in the Rajasuya Yajna, like, okay, Krishna been asked by Yudhishthira Maharaj. Then the similar situation, Narada Muni is speaking, like, okay, on the Prahlada pastime, while the Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking, okay, to Narada Muni. So at the time, like he's saying, Gobya Kamat Bayat Kamsa, Dveso Chaidya Nirapaka, Sambandhat Vishnaya Sneda, Yuyam Bhaktya Vayam Vibho. Okay, so he says, okay, there are various ways to attain Lord, like gopis by their lusty desire. It is not like a material lust, but the spiritual devotional lust. Okay, then Kamsa by his fear, Shishupala and other kings by envy, the Yadus like by their family relationship with Krishna, you Pandavas by your great affection for Krishna, and we general devotees like by our devotional service have obtained the mercy of Krishna. Okay, then he's one of the 12 Mahajan. Okay, he is the embodiment of like a Vishnu Smaranam, the devotion service. Like in the Smaranam, he is the topmost devotee. His humbleness, like as a fallen soul and praying for protection. He was without any fear, like he was preaching to even the demoniac people also, like about the glories of the Lord. Who is Vaishnava? Like a Vaishnava is the free from envy. Like he is not having any enviness. Like the power of prayers, he exhibited the power of prayers. The prayers like will protect us like from the calamities, correct? He exhibited the fearless attitude and always surrendered to Krishna. The pure devotee never tries to see Lord by mental speculation, but by following the footsteps of the acharyas. Mahajano ena gata sapantaka. Like that is how he exhibited. So due to the time limitation, we have to little rush. Like this is one of the prayers of Prahlada, Keshava Priyam. Like, okay, Keshava Priya means one who is dear to Vishnu, or like a one to whom the Vishnu is very dear. Okay, both the things, like, okay, the both the meaning like will applicable here. He is dear to Krishna, and Krishna is very what to say, like he likes Prahlad very much. Like, okay, that is what been explained. Sarva Bhutama Bhutam. Okay. Prashantam Samadarshanam. He exhibited the Prashantam, like the calmness, and the Samadarshanam, like he didn't discriminate. Okay, this is demonic friends. I don't need to explain the teachings of Lord Krishna. So he did the Samadarshanam. That is one of the important thing. Okay, Prahlada seeing Vishnu in every living being, even in pillars, like, okay, he could able to see the Lord, but wherein Hiranyakashipu could not see the Lord when he even appeared in front of him, correct? So the BG sloka, like Bhagavad Gita sloka, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra, or Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, we can remember these slokas. Okay, Prashantam, who is always peaceful, like okay, calm attitude, correct? So our desire should not be like okay, agitated, or it should not be like okay towards the material thing, but it has to be like okay on the devotional thing. We saw the Tatra Laulyam, correct? So we have to think whenever we get the trouble, like we have to think, I deserve much more troubles, but Lord is like okay, giving me the power to face the trouble, and God is giving me like a less of a trouble. That has to be our mood, okay, the devotee's mood. So this Brahma's prayer also 10.14.8, like a tate nukampam susamikshamano bunjana yevatmakritam vibhagam hitvak babubir vidadan namaste jivet yo mukti pate sa dayabak. Okay, it is due to the mercy of the Lord. Okay, I'm getting like okay, I am facing the energy, or like okay, I'm facing the I get the power to face that particular problem. So that has to be our motive. Like okay, these are various other things like which we may not be able to. Prahlad didn't criticize anything. Like he was no blaming game. Like okay, he was always like under the protection of the Lord. Um, no agitation through though like okay, even in the Pandava side, at least Krishna was there, correct? But here in Prahlad, he was without anyone, correct? Like okay, he was his father is against him, like to ready to kill him, but still, like okay, he was having that unflinching faith towards the Lord, correct? Um, so this is the powerful. It explains like okay, the sorry, Narsimha's form. Okay, Nakambi baby Ajita Abhi Bhaya Jigfarka, Netra, Bruhurti, Raboshaka, Damsrat, Antra, Srajaha, Shachacha, Shera, Shanku Karnan, Nikhrata, Bita, Digibat, Ari, Brit, Nagrahat. Okay, my lord, uh, who are never conquered by anyone, I am certainly not afraid of your ferocious mouth and tongue, your eyes bright like the sun, or your frowning eyebrows. I do not fear your sharp, pinching teeth, your garland of intestines, like okay, your man soaked with blood, or your high, wedged like ears. Nor do I fear your tumulus like a roaring, which makes elephant flee to distant places, or your nails like which are meant to kill your enemies. So while he's exhibiting the ferocious form, like in Narasinghadev exhibiting the ferocious form, Prahlad didn't see or didn't fear at all. Correct. Well, others are like okay, very fearful of this form, but if Prahlad is always like on the Prashantam and Samadarshanam, correct? So this explain the 10 bodily features of like a Lord Ugra Narsimha. Okay, this goes like a very detailed. If you read this 10 bodily features relate to this particular image, you will be able to see like how ferocious, how each body part being explained. Okay, his eyes were like okay, like this, and his the teeth were like this. Okay, his mustaches were like this. Okay, this has been explained over here, correct? In this wedge like ears, like okay, by roaring sound, then piercing the enemy, like okay, fearful mouth, okay, the sharp tongue you are able to see, correct? Sharp tongue, fearful mouth, like okay, then eyes like shining like the sun. So then frowning like a eyebrows, it is very strong, correct? That has been explained over here. So then while the Prahlada is explaining in the 7.9.43, one of the very important sloka. Okay, Naivot Vijay Paraduratyaya Vaitaranyas Tatvad Virya Gayanam Hamrada Makra Chittaha Soche Tato Vimukta Setasa Indriyata Maya Sukaya Baram Udvahato Vimudan. Okay, he's saying, I am not afraid of your gigantic or like a ferocious form, but I am very afraid of like okay, my concern. His concern, he is exhibiting the concern, a true Vaishnava quality he is exhibiting. Oh, best of the personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in the thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for the material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with the love for them. This is a greatness quality exhibited by a great Vaishnava like Prahlad, like Prabhupada was concerned about not all performing the devotion service. He at the very late age he went to America, and he started his the devotional preaching because of his Guru Maharaj. He was saying, you have a good power of the English, and you have to go to the Western world and preach the glories of Krishna. Correct. So that the same way, all these great acharyas are having that attitude. They are not concerned about their own well-being or their own benefit. They always care for others. They always care for the other living entities. If not them, we would not be in this particular devotion service. So we always indebted to all these acharyas like Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura and Prahlad Maharaj. Like this, there are many acharyas like Sad Goswamis, etc., etc. Okay. So this purport gone in detail, but in a very simple form, I can say he is more concerned about one who is not performing the devotional service. So we need to help them. We need to have we need to help these acharyas by practicing devotional service first of all. Then we have to follow their preaching. Then we have to practice to others. We have to preach to others. First practice, then preach to others. That is very important. So this Vaitaranya river, it is very difficult to cross, but it is possible if we surrender to Lord. Very easily we can pass through. Okay, this is the pastimes of Narasimhadev and Prahlada Charitra. Okay, in a very short, I covered it because of the this what to say, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha appeared in this particular, the relation to Jai Vijaya. For that reason, I covered. So, as we were seeing, today is the appearance day of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura. So, he's the spiritual master of our Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Okay, is Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so he explaining the while he's explaining the details of how Nityananda is representing the Guru Tattva. So his one of the teaching, in this sentence, it would be very, very hard for us to understand. He's very literature, his literary is unimaginable. He's a very scholar. He's way of writing English with multiple dictionary. We have to refer to understand one sentence. Okay, such sentence is this one. The Guru, he's explaining about the Guru. The Guru is the embodiment of a manifestation of the divinity to the pure receptive spiritual essence of the disciple. So he's explaining the Guru and the disciple. So Nityananda is a primary manifest. We all know Nityananda Mahaprabhu is the representation of Balram Tattva. He is explaining the representation of the Guru Tattva. The distinctive function of the Guru in the Nityananda function. Nityananda, the function is embodied. Nityananda is a servant god. He serves the Gaurasundara. Okay, by the distinctive method of reverential servitude. These are the details. He's identical with Sri Balrama of Krishna Lila. Sri Balrama is not the chum of Krishna, but his respected elder brother. It is an intimate relationship characterized by becoming reserved on one side and of respectful difference to the other. Individual souls are under the direction of Nityananda. Okay, we have to take the shelter of Nityananda. So let us see this statement. The Guru is the embodiment of the manifestation of the divinity to the pure receptive spiritual essence of the disciple. Okay, the Guru refers to the spiritual master, teacher or guide. Is the embodiment of, means the Guru represents or personifies something. Okay, the manifestation of the divinity is refers to the Guru being visible or tangible representation of divine qualities. So he exhibit those divine qualities. Okay, to the pure receptive spiritual essence of the disciple. This part describes who are the manifestation of divinity is directed towards. Okay, it refers to the disciple's innermost spiritual core, which is open and ready to receive spiritual guidance. So the disciple is in a position to receive something from the manifestation of the divinity, who is explaining the Guru. Guru represents the manifestation of the divinity, and he is giving the knowledge like to the pure receptive spiritual essence of the pure disciple. So these great acharyas have greatest of the knowledge. They could have performed their devotion service in a very great manner, like okay, by themselves, but they wanted the knowledge to pass on to the future generation. Like so, they take effort to put all these like okay, great knowledge, and they given in the scripture form. Okay, the guru is like a physical form representing divine qualities, and this representation is directed towards the pure and open spiritual core of the disciple. So the guru can disciple, if he is able to get the knowledge from guru, then only like okay, he is to be called as the disciple, correct, who is ready to receive the spiritual guidance. In simpler terms, like the sentence suggests that the guru embodies the divine qualities and serves as the conduit for spiritual guidance to the disciple, who is receptive and open to it. He has to receive it, like that is very important. So to that acharya, to that spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, okay, we ever indebted, like okay, by practicing the devotion service by us and to preach to others, like okay, that is has to be our mood. Okay, so the key takeaways: pray to Varaha and Narsingadev, their gigantic presence, like okay, they are ready to manifest in the devotee form, in the deity form. Okay, and we have to pray to them, like so that the anarthas will be removed. Like okay, the Varaha represents the what quality? Anyone can say? Varaha represents the obsessiveness of greed. Okay, then Narsingadev sorry, not sorry, very sorry, the Hiranyaksha represents the obsessive of greed, and the Hiranyakashipu represents the obsessiveness of the false
Pride.
ego, pride and false ego. Okay, yeah, so we have to pray to Lord Varaha and Narsingadev to remove those anarthas like a greed, a false ego, and a pride. Very sorry. Okay, active hearing, though not seeing the great acharyas, as Prahlad Maharaj, like okay, not seen the guru, but like by active hearing, he could able to develop the devotional thing at a very early age. Like okay, so Prahlada seeing Vishnu in everywhere, even in the pillar, like but Hiranyakashipu, the demon, could not able to see the Lord, like even when he appears in front of, and it is the way of Lord to give the mercy in the form of like it is not punishing them or killing them. It is like giving the mercy to them because they don't have like any greed to develop like okay towards the Lord, to perform the devotion service to Kamsa, like a Duryodhana or Hiranyakashipu or Hiranyaksha. By killing them, like he given the deliverance. But in the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Leela, okay, by giving the deliverance, he didn't kill Jagai and Madai, but he given the deliverance. Like he initiated them by taking all their sins, and he given them the deliverance. Like then they become Jagadananda Pandit and Madhavananda Pandit, correct? Like Jagai and Madai. So devotee always take pleasure in worshiping the Lord, glorifying the Lord in any form, either pleasing or fierce, like as uh, uh, Prahlad Maharaj exhibited. Then Varaga's form, like we have to understand and we have to develop that Tatra Laulyam, like that is very important. Then we have to contemplate on all these pastimes, like so that we can develop the mood of like serving the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thanks all for giving me the opportunity. Please forgive me if I said anything wrong. It is due to my ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare
The
Krishna.
main takeaway point of today's class was that we all are greedy for material objects to satisfy our material senses. But you told us through the very beautiful shloka of Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 8.70 that we should actually have a lolyam for or greed for devotional activities, devotional service or bhakti. And thank you for sharing such a powerful message of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also about the Guru Tattva. So thank you very much, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Any questions, comments, realizations? If
So
no, then we
all are
can.
ready. All are ready to have that Tatra Laulyam, correct? Like have the desire to
Hare
like
Hare.
to perform devotional
Hare Krishna,
activity.
Prabhuji, can you give the reference in Chaitanya Charitamrita about the Lowlim verse?
Yeah, it is Madhya Lila 8.70, Mataji. Madhya Lila
Yeah, okay.
8.70.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Yeah. Haribol. So if no questions, then we'll end the session here. Thank you to all the devotees for joining. And yeah, so we'll end. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo Anant Koti Vaishnavi ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Thanks,
Krishna.
Almaty.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna,
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shall I
Dhanavad,
end the
Prabhuji.
session,
All
Prabhu?
devotees.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.